yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Shout out to our deceased brother, Mitch Hyder. It's just the three of us. Mike, you remember those days out there in New Orleans, Charles? You've been out there doing Bayou Classic Weekend. It gets a little exciting for us.
It does.
The days when we were running around and probably doing a little too much, but certainly having a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of ancestors, we have to add another one, which is Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr., Bowie State Athletic Director, Vice President of Intercollegiate Athletics, has died. He was a revered leader in HBCU athletics, the university announced earlier today. Doughty, who joined Bowie State in 2015, built a legacy of athletic and academic excellence across the Bulldogs programs. Under his leadership, Bowie State became a perennial power in the CIAA, highlighted by multiple conference championships in football, women's basketball, track and field, men's basketball as well, I will add. Quote, "We are deeply saddened to share the passing of Clyde Doughty Jr., Vice President of Bowie State Athletics and Recreation," the school said in a statement. Since joining Bowie State in 2015 and being elevated to Vice President in 2018, his leadership and vision helped shape a standard of excellence for Bulldog athletics. His legacy will forever remain. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, friends, and the entire Bowie State community, end quote. Before arriving at Bowie State, Doughty spent more than 30 years at his alma mater, later Vice President of Athletics at the New York Institute of Technology. His career embodied a lifelong dedication to education and sports, often emphasizing the importance of mentoring student athletes beyond the playing field. Let's give a moment of silence on behalf of the HBCU world, Bowie State, family, friends of Mr. Clyde Doughty Jr. With that being said, let me go to you and give our opening statement as we like to do. Welcome to episode 776 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs and the business of HBCU sports. We, in short, just call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, just the three of us. We might have some guests coming here and join us as we get going. But we're filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KSWH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame and multi-Hall of Famer Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Charles and I got a chance to chat it up with Ralph Cooper, star, as he's part of the ESPN 30 for 30 premiere, if you would, of the PVIL. That's the Prairie View Interscholastic League. For those not in Texas or not been around Texas may not understand what that means. It is the term that they use in terms of the Scholastic League. Many people understanding are familiar with the university, UIL, in the state of Texas, but there were, as a time in this country, that you all recognize where there was segregation, and there was still those that wanted to see African American Black people, Negroes, term they called at that time, have an opportunity in whatever endeavors they had, and to do that at the high school level, K through 12, athletics, sports, and outside of this, those understand that there are other curricular activities. That was done under the PVIL for segregated institutions for Black, if you would, historically Black high schools and middle schools, both men's and women's sports and bands, drill teams, debates, and all those things. They focused obviously on the sport, so it was good information, really entertaining, and certainly would recommend any of you all check that out. We'll give you some more information. It will debut in February, History Month. And Charles got a chance to listen to me opine on all these different things. Got to see him when he saw somebody that was associated with Jackson, not Jackson State, but Jackson, the city, that lived down the street. So you can see him light up like a Christmas tree. Mike, that's a proud brother, and it's funny when you see him when that pride hits him.
Yeah. You can see him when he perk up. You don't even have to say the whole word Jack. All you got to do is say Jack. You can just a second when you said that, I saw him perk up. So.
No doubt. Good points. Well, I'm gonna go to you, Charles, since you stuck in there. What's on your mind in terms of the athletic world, particular focus on obviously what we do, HBCU sports? What's on your mind this week?
Yeah, just go back to that premiere. I mean, that was tremendous to take part, to get an opportunity to watch that. Tremendously educational. Obviously, me being from Mississippi, about to learn about the PVIL over here in Texas. Of course, you had a similar sort of something going on across the South, and it got me to thinking about the Negro leagues, the Negro schools in Mississippi during that time. Some iconic teams. Where you're talking about Coleman High in Greenville, Mississippi. You're talking about Lanier and Jackson, the 1964 national championship team. It just got me to thinking about all that. But one of the big things I took from that, man, Doc, to see some Eldridge Dickey footage. You've heard about this man for like all my life. Like my dad, talks so much about Eldridge Dickey. Talked
about him so much.
Yeah. And to see some footage of Eldridge Dickey, it was phenomenal to see. I don't want to give away too much about the documentary, but I mean, it was a phenomenal watch, and to really learn about sort of the history of the PBIL and the history of high school football here in the state of Texas, and those guys who played in the shadows to finally get their just due. I think that was huge. So it was phenomenal to sit back and watch.
Well said. I'll go to you, Mike. What's on your mind this week in terms of HBCU sports?
Well, I hate to be the bringer of controversy, but what's going viral and what's happening with the Morehouse coach that was fined after Tuskegee's coach, Morehouse College, is fined after Tuskegee's coach handcuffing goes viral. You can just stop right there at Tuskegee's coach handcuffing, then that goes viral. So it's interesting because the SIAC has fined Morehouse College and cited the institution for failing to meet required game security standards following an incident in which Tuskegee's men's basketball head coach, Benji Taylor, was handcuffed by campus security after a January 31st game between the schools. So SWAC Commissioner Dr. Anthony Holman announced Monday that the conference completed a comprehensive review of the incident, which occurred at the conclusion of Morehouse's game against Tuskegee. And according to Holman, the review determined that Morehouse did not comply with SIAC policy 1.9 sub project whatever, which governs host institution. I'm putting my little 2.5 years of law school together, whatever. Which says the host is to have a responsibility for crowd control, ensuring safe entry and exit of visiting teams and participants. So to sum it up, as that the SIC has imposed a fine on Morehouse College. What I want to say is, I saw that this brother was in handcuffs and had the coolest walk for somebody in handcuffs. I'm serious. He had the coolest walk. I'm like, he's in handcuffs and looking and has a strut, a stroll. So I know at the story is the findings, and the lawsuit, and kind of the why, and what gets caught is the details, and we try to overshade it with these legal findings. But I just want to point out that brother, if I get arrested, I'm gonna look just like that. So
I wish I could be that cool. You sure right. I know I would be pissed trying to figure out what y'all doing. But with that being said, I do want to shout out Dr. Holloman. Obviously, you got to rankle everything, and he's looking at it from the SIAC, and I thought him able to get information out first thing Monday was important. Tuskegee jumped in there and got their story out, and Morehouse still waiting to get their story out, is my understanding. So not sure what that's about. But with that being said, for those that want a little more detail, particular from Sunday night, you can watch it on the Sports Wrap show. They did a really good job of bringing people in to that. Stephen Gaither, Kyle Mosley, to talk about it from different perspectives of media people, particularly from a media perspective. Obviously, Kyle Mosley got a chance to talk about it a little more with being a Morehouse man and it being his alma mater. So that was good information. So if you have a chance and you hadn't watched it, go back and check that out and you get it full of detail. With that being said, let me go to you, Charles. What else is on your mind?
Well, aside from everybody dropping their schedules and a lot of conversation going on with that, but I have to say some of the rollouts, Grambling, Jackson State, those are phenomenal. Prairie View, those are really good. So shout out to the media team for the way you've gone about putting out your story with regards to your schedule to get the fan base fired up. So now it's time to go purchase those season tickets. But let's take a look at the MEAC.
Great point. Before you say that, I will jump in there. I want to shout out Jackson State. What they put out there in terms of their video was really good. I hadn't seen Grambling yet, so I look forward.
Grambling is pretty cool. Grambling is pretty cool.
Go ahead, Mike.
Now, Charles, it's time to go purchase what?
It's time to go purchase those season tickets.
Absolutely. There was a good viral video by a PV student. It was a call out to alumni and whatever about supporting your team. But this applies to any team. Whatever your team is, purchase season tickets. Support SWAC football. And I thought the young man had some very good points. Sorry about that, T. You said that triggered me a little bit. So
no, that was a good point to put out there too. Yeah. I got to see that video referencing. I'm sure y'all talk about it on the 1876 podcast, going into details. Very good one to do that. Let me go back to you, Mike. As we're up on it, anything else you want to get in there before we get into the first break?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add up is SWAC softball preseason poll rankings.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to say preseason poll were voted upon by the league's head coaches in sports. And it looks like Jackson State was picked to finish first in the SWAC's Eastern Division. The Lady Tigers tallied 11 place first votes and 105 total. Florida A&M, Alabama State, then Bethune. Alabama A&M came in second, third, fourth, and fifth. And Mississippi Valley. Okay, they came in sixth. And then on the west side, Prairie View A&M was tabbed. Prairie View A&M was tabbed to finish first place in the SWAC's Western Division. The Panthers amassed a league-leading 14-place votes, 110 total votes. Texas Southern, Grambling State, UAPB, and Alcorn highlight the rest of that falling out in second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, respectively. So let's later, but I just wanted to let you know that the softball preseason rankings, softball is really exciting, and the preseason rankings look just equally as exciting.
Good stuff, Mike Charles. I'll let you sneak one more in since you added on a little bit to the PVIL, so I hadn't gave you a chance to see if anything else, or we can take our first break. That's up to you. You can comment on the on softball, whichever direction you want to go. What's on your mind?
Let's take a look just real quickly. MEAC, as they announced their weekly women's basketball awards, as Howard forward Niall Miller was named the MEAC Player of the Week. Delaware State guard Amaya Scott was named the Rookie of the Week, and Norfolk State forward Carmen Quetty earned the Defensive Player of the Week honors, respectively. We take a look at Miller, who was the Player of the Week. Niall Miller from from Howard, posted her second straight double-double with 12 points and a game-high 10 rebounds and a steal while shooting 71% from the floor in their 68-59 win on Norfolk State. Amaya Scott scored 9 points with that, 4 steals, 4 rebounds, and an assist against Maryland Eastern Shore. She was the Rookie of the Week. And Quetty, the senior forward, garnered her second straight MEAC Defensive Player of the Week honor after anchoring the Spartans' defense with 5 blocks, 6 rebounds, and 1 steal while contributing 12 points against Howard. So those are your MEAC Women's Players of the Week.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's take our first break. Come on the other side, and we'll go into the mid-major top 5 in week number 5. We'll be right back after this first break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a state, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door. Tell your mama.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, yeah, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. With that being said, let's jump right into it and get into our top 5. Obviously, we'll first and see if we have any team dropping out this week. And as you see, we did not have a team dropping out for the women's mid-major division in week number 5. So let's look at those that are receiving votes. Have some tough teams that are playing some good basketball that are outside of this top 5. But with that being said, you have Paul Quinn, the Lady Tigers, sit at 13-14, 8-1 out of Texas, Dallas area getting it done. HBCU AC, and you'll see quite a few teams out of the HBCU AC Another school out of Texas, the Wiley Lady Wildcats, sit at 12-4, 7-2 with 25 points. They're outside of that illustrious top 5. Also out of the HBCU AC is Oakwood Lady Ambassadors, sit at 13-6, 9-1 with 21 points. We do leave the HBCU AC, but we stay with the NIA program, or one in that framing, which is Arkansas Baptist Lady Buffaloes, that sit at 12-3, 2-1, 18 points. And then you have Division II eyes out of the CIAA, Virginia State Lady Trojans sit at 14-5, 7-3 with 16 points. Let's get where the rubber meets the road and get in the top 5. There are arrangements to top 5. While everybody's been able to stay there in the top 5, we do see some changes here where you have the Miles Lady Golden Bears that sit at 17-3, 15-2. They have one first place vote with 37 points, although they slide down to the 5th spot, formerly known in the 3. Moving on to number 4. Fayetteville State Lady Broncos. Once they drop in the top 5, you know what they tend to do. They tend to move up. They do have a huge victory over Winston-Salem State, so they move up a spot as they took down those Lady Rams. Now their record is at 15-2, 9-1. They also have a first place vote with 43 points. As I said, they move up one spot from number 5. Bringing us to number 3, we have the Edward Waters Lady Tigers that sit at 16-14, 14-3. They do have one first place vote, 42 points there. You see in the rankings, actually sitting at 55. They were formerly number 4 in the ranking. As we continue to move forward, let's move up to number 2. Well, we have Winston-Salem State Lady Rams. They're 17-2, 8-1 after a tough loss. They still hold on to 2 first place votes, but they do drop from the number 1 spot with 63 points. Let's see who edges them out, and now is the new number 1. As you guessed it, it's the formerly number 2 program, which is the Langston Lady Lions that sit at 19-2, 13-2, 4 first place votes, 65 points. And they are in first place in the Sooner Athletic Conference, playing some really good basketball. One of the programs that are doing it both on the men's side and the women's side in terms of being the top 5. But this week, it's all about the women in terms of Tuesday in week number 5. And in this case, NIA-wise, it's Langston Lady Lions. With that being said, let's see what these 2 gentlemen have to say. We're going to start with Mike. What are your thoughts in terms of week number 5, mid-major for the women's top 5, Mike?
No, I can't deny, I hate to say it, Mr. Gaither. Mr. Gaither. I honestly think, in my heart of hearts, I think, to be honest, Winston-Salem should probably be, the way they're playing, you can make your argument that they should be number 1. So they're playing some very they're playing some very good ball. You look at their conference, and I don't want to go into too much of the details, but how they're scoring, I would go that Langston is done, but I'm still scratching my head because of some of the teams. They lost to a team called Science and Arts. So they are 13-2 in the conference, but they lost to that team. Fayetteville State has a solid. So for the most part, Doc, I don't agree. I don't disagree with this poll, but I'm not convinced that Langston, just based on strength of schedule, and I don't know right now that's subjective because none of they don't have common opponents. So I can't really argue with that, but I would say that Winston-Salem, you could make a strong argument for them moving up and Miles moving up as well.
Boy, I tell you, Mike is hard on Langston. They've won 11 straight. He's still saying, I don't know. Conference play, whatever it is. He's like, yeah, whatever.
And then science and arts. I mean,
that's just the name. It's the name of the school. How you be mad at what somebody calls their institution? It is what it is. Anyway, let me go to you, Charles, because Mike is just mean. With that being said, what are your thoughts on the top 5?
Okay, so I'm probably going to push Edward Waters up to 2, and then I'll have Fayetteville State 4. I'm sorry, Fayetteville State 3, and then Winston-Salem 2. Fayetteville State does have Winston-Salem State 4. So let me say it again. Langston, Edward Waters, Fayetteville State, then Winston-Salem State. Fayetteville State, they got a good dominant head-to-head win over Winston-Salem State. So that's where I have to give them the edge. Edward Waters is the interesting one to me. They won, I believe, 12 out of their last 13. A loss back to Clark a few games ago. But what's interesting, at least to me, they're playing really good basketball, but they finish up the season. I know they have wins over Miles and Tuskegee already, but that was at home. So they'll finish up the season going to Miles and Tuskegee. So whether they can stay, up in that upper echelon will be kind of interesting. But the next few games, Lemoyne, Spring Hill, Albany State all at the crib, and then they close out with 4 on the road. So it'll be interesting to see what they do down the stretch. Can they stay in that top 5?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Charles, you wanted a piece of that smoke, huh?
I asked for it.
He dropped Winston from 1 because of that loss of Fayetteville State all the way to number 4. Wow, I thought I was. That wasn't me. And Mike, I will say this about Langston. We'll find out a little something. I know you don't like science and art, but science and art is sitting in 3rd spot, 4th spot, if you would, in the Sooner Athletic Conference. Mid-American Christian is behind them. Nelson, which is in 2nd place, 1 game back. They played the last game of the season, and they do play that in their gym. This week they go, if you would, in terms of Thursday, they're at Mid-American. They're sitting in 3rd spot. And then that Saturday, they host Science and Art. So we'll get a chance. If somebody's going to bump them off, you would think it'd be one of those teams at the top of the conference, regardless of the name. I did want to share that with you just in case next week, if they do win, you'll have different thoughts. I don't. But anyway, they're rolling 11 in a row. So I wanted to give some love to Langston. Not only are they number 1 as they move in that number spot with the tough loss to Winston and Fayetteville, and I'd be interested to see what Gaither thinks in terms of the CIAA versus the Sooner. He obviously knows all things about CIAA, but I'm sure he doesn't really focus on the Sooner Athletic Conference. But it's somebody he can go do the homework. And he can come back and tell us.
Also, Clark Atlanta has a key win against Edward Waters. Now, that was earlier in the season. I'm going off memory, correct?
Yeah.
And they also have a win against Miles, if I correct. So, yeah. So you look back. I kind of weighed that as well with some of my comments. I was joking about with science and arts. You beat a school called Science and Arts. We might as well.
I tried to help him out.
That's like us playing Lynchburg. Come on. Everybody plays Lynchburg. Maybe Science and Arts are 1 level up above Lynchburg, but everybody
they're not on the schedule this year. The AD of Prairie View, Mr. Golf, already put it out there. They're not on the schedule. Everybody else playing D2.
Was not the only
Prairie View is not playing any D2, so that won't be a problem this year with folks looking at the schedule. That won't be an issue. In fact, they play 2 top 25 teams at the end of the year. We'll see what that looks like in terms of that action. And then they go Baylor. They are Big 12, but boy, Baylor's having a little problem. With my stomping grounds. Yeah. With that being said, back on the HBCU sports, I do like how you broke down in terms of Edward Waters, Miles, and in terms of what that looks like in terms of some big wins and excellent points you make there. With that being said, let's take our next break. 2nd break, if you would. We'll come back on the other side. We'll flip it. Now it's time to go to the major division and see what's going on with the major division, see what Charles and Mike, the professors, have to say about that. We'll be right back after this next break.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's jump right into it and go to the major division for the women in week number 5. We did have a team dropped out, so we'll let you know what that looks like. And we have a couple of receiving votes that have shrunk down as the season has gotten moving forward. But dropping out this week was Norfolk State Spartans, 5-2, still playing some good basketball. But some teams are playing some really good basketball. They had a loss. Intriguing when you think about Norfolk State. They have big wins when they destroy teams, but they have a couple of losses in conference play on the season. So let's get into those receiving votes. We have Norfolk State Spartans sitting at 5-2, 38 points. We have Alabama State Hornets sitting at 6-3 with 32 points. We have Florida A&M Rattlers sitting at should be Texas Southern sitting at 4-5 above FAMU as they are outside of that at 19. With that, let's look at number 5, those top 5 programs. Let's get into it. Have those Southern Jaguars playing some really good basketball. Let you know what the competition is in effect. They were 2. They did take an L this past weekend, but they're still in that top 5. 11-9, 7-2 went to Alcorn as they were jostling for first place. On the road, it's always tough in the SWAC, as you know. 47 points. They dropped 3 spots because of that loss, but they are still in the top 5. Let's get to number 4. This is a new entrant this week, which are the Howard Bison playing back in solid with 16-7, 6-1 in the conference, 59 points. They were not ranked last week, but they jump in there based on how they played. At number 3, Alcorn State Braves. They got them 2 this week, 11-9, 8-1. Big win over Southern for their first place, solidifying where they stand in the conference race is 63 points. 4 first place points. Not first place. Some people probably want to see them get a first place vote, but none of the voters did that. With that being said, let's go to second place. And second spot is Alabama A&M, the Bulldogs, the Lady Bulldogs over there getting it done in Huntsville. 12-9, 8-1. 3 first place votes, 75 points. They move up a spot as they are dominating some teams. They escaped against Bethune-Cookman. A couple of players got called for penalty, got thrown out of the game, right? But they got it done. With that, let's look at number 1, as you saw, Maryland Eastern Shore, 12-10, 5-0 in conference. Just calmly, they keep winning. Not the same on the men's side where both people are sharing that. But these women, in terms of Maryland and Eastern Shore, they are solid. 12-10, 5-0, 5 first place votes with 77 points, and they remain number one this week as the Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks remain number one in week number 5. I'm going to start with you, Charles. You see the top 5. What are your thoughts, top 5, with a little change with Howard jumping and pushing out Norfolk State? Where are you with this top 5?
I'm gonna flip Alabama A&M and Maryland Eastern Shore. I think Alabama A&M is playing a little better basketball right now. I can't say enough about Alcorn in terms of what they're doing. That was a huge win over Southern. Nate Gilbert and their defense. You take a look at the SWAC defensive standings. Alabama A&M and Alcorn are 1 and 2 in terms of playing team defense, and especially for Alcorn to not have Destiny Brown this season. That was 12 points and almost 8 rebounds. That's not on the roster anymore. And Alcorn is right back in the mix of things. So it says a lot about their program. So huge win for Howard over Maryland Eastern Shore. So taking a look at that bodes well for Howard. They won 4 in a row now. So I definitely agree with them being where they are. So I should say, let me back up. Big wins over Morgan State and Norfolk State this past week for Howard. So they are where they are. Big weekend, or I should say big Monday coming up, or Saturday, I should say, coming up for Alabama A&M and Southern. That's going to be a huge one down there on the bluff. So looking forward to that matchup with Alabama A&M Alabama A&M on the road against Grambling, on the road against Southern. It could be an 0-2 week.
Grambling is struggling a little bit now.
They're struggling.
You can see them doing Saturday, but like you said, those manic Mondays, they kind of do that to you if you don't rebound and you let that loss linger if you do take the loss to Southern. So great point. Be interesting, fascinating basketball to watch. Good for the conference in terms of teams that are sitting in the upper half of the standings. Alabama A&M tied for first at 8-1, sitting at 2-3 in this, and then Southern at 5. So you do have that 2 versus 5 matchup in terms of our rankings. With that being said, Mike, what direction are you going in the major division for week number 5?
Well, we're going week to week standards. I would also agree with switching Alabama A&M and Maryland Eastern Shore. Alabama A&M and Howard right now are the 2 most balanced teams. You look at where they stand in their respective conferences in scoring and defense, meaning they're scoring a lot of points but allowing less. Their scoring to defensive ratio is better right now. And you can also tip your hat a little bit to Alcorn State as well, not as strong on the scoring side. But here's my point with Maryland Eastern Shore. I think they have, there was one key loss that they had. They had a loss to God. I can't remember it. I'm sorry. They lost.
They had a loss to North Carolina Central
Yes,
when the rankings were completed, because they normally don't do the Monday because they started the Thursday, but because of the freezing rain and snow, they snuck in the game too, just like the men, which I broke down, and you'll see that in the poll rankings. But I'm glad y'all bringing that up, such that people can be aware that Maryland Shore is now 10, 12 and 11 and 5-1.
Exactly.
If we had put that input and those voters took that in consideration, you probably would have got some changes. So
yeah,
I can see where you're talking about Alabama A&M, but I did want to make sure that people realize that. But continue, Mike, to put that on.
That's what I was getting at. Alabama A&M has a stronger showing, as CB alluded to, but Maryland Eastern Shore has a recent loss against a non-ranked opponent. Now, they do have a strong win against Howard a couple of weeks ago, but I think that should go into consideration. That's the other reason I would flip Alabama A&M at Maryland Eastern Shore. I still say that they're 2 or 3, probably 2, but that was the other point. So thanks for adding a little bit of light on that for me. So, but I like what Howard is doing as of late, being a very balanced team. I want to see a little bit more of Howard, because if you look at their schedule, they have Maryland Eastern Shore. They have another one against Morgan State. I want to see how they do against those opponents in the next couple of weeks.
Good points that you're making there. We do not get a rematch of that Alcorn State game, where obviously that's going to linger for a lot of folks until they match up again at 76-34. So you make good points, because you're talking about Alabama A&M has won 8 straight. You add in now the loss of Maryland Eastern Shore. It does stick out like a sore thumb. And you're talking about the Braves winning 6 straight. So that matchup between the Braves and Southern looms large in terms of maybe giving Alabama A&M some breathing room. They have their games coming up. It'll be fascinating to see what that looks like. I'm fascinating in terms of some of the games coming up this weekend, and we'll talk about some key matchups. We'll take our next break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll talk about some of those key matchups and maybe even sneak in a little bit on the men's side, depending on what time we look at. But we'll focus a lot in terms of those matchups. We'll be right back after this last break and talk some more women's basketball, particularly at the major division, and talk more about some of these key matchups and see what these gentlemen think.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
And we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
Now, what about HBCUs? You mentioned.
Absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you've got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
Right? I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, and all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
Movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
You're looking for the latest information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to get back in here and give you some updates. One, I want to start out the Wednesday game, Maryland Eastern Shore at South Carolina State, makeup game that was canceled because of the weather that was going on in the North Carolinas, I should say. You have Maryland Eastern Shore coming in at 12-11, 5-1 after their last loss to North Carolina Central. They're at South Carolina State, 5-15, 2-3 in the conference race, so they're not necessarily a pushover. Any concerns at Maryland Eastern Shore? Can't get back off the map? or should they be fine in this matchup for you, Charles?
I think Maryland Eastern Shore will be fine.
Anything for you, Mike? Any concern with that matchup for you?
No, I think Maryland Eastern Shore will be fine. And why do I say that? Because, you look at Maryland Eastern Shore, they're scoring 63 and points per game, and South Carolina State scoring about 56, but allowing almost as much scoring on the defensive side. So I think Maryland Eastern Shore will be fine.
All right, let's switch to the SWAC on their Thursday games, and then we'll go back to the MEAC Saturday games and go to the SWAC on their Saturday games for women. So let me give you the list of the games on Thursday. You have Jackson and Arkansas Pine Bluff. UAPB is hosting the Tigers of Jackson State. You have Alabama State traveling to Southern. So the Jaguars are hosting the Hornets. You have Alabama A&M, obviously going to Louisiana. They're up north, Louisiana, at Grambling. Then you have Alcorn State and Mississippi Valley. Mississippi schools going at it. You have Prairie View taking that long trip to Florida. That's Prairie View at FAMU for the women. And then, obviously, that means Texas Southern is at Bethune-Cookman, also for the women on Thursday. Which of those games, if any, stand out to you and why, Mike? Anything there that gives you pause, or do you see it just kind of going chalk this Thursday before anything else takes place?
So if I have to take a deep look at it, and I'm looking at, Alabama A&M, they have Grambling. That's not so much a scare. I guess the one that would probably give me pause, and forgive me for, because I lost power here for a quick second.
No problem. You want to break it back down?
Yeah, so that Southern Alabama State game.
You're trying to make that one work, huh?
Yeah, I'm gonna make that one. That's a 3 and a 4. That's a 3 and a 4. 7-2 versus 6-3. That one kind of stands out to me as one that we need to keep an eye on.
Interesting. Record-wise, I agree. Janetta Haynes is making some magic early in her first year. From that perspective, I agree with you. She has to go on the road. She's familiar with Southern. Boy, she used to have some legendary matchups. Charles, back in the day at Texas Southern and Southern, some of them were so legendary that cost Texas Southern a chance at a tournament run when they kind of got overboard at the end of that game. With that being said, Charles, are you like Mike? You going to go with Alabama State Southern, or anything else stands out for you?
No, I think Alabama State Southern. That's the one that stands out for me. Especially take a look at Alabama State. They've won 4 in a row. I think, it kind of started with the trip here to Houston. They come back to the crib and take care of the Florida schools. But I think that's the one that I'm really paying attention to in terms of, like you said, Janetta Hayes really being able to kind of pull that team together. And like you said, they've ripped off 4 in a row now. The other sneaky one, there's like 2 sneaky ones to me on Thursday. Alabama A&M at Grambling. And I know Grambling has been up and down this season, but something about playing at home, getting up for a team like Alabama A&M, number 1 team in the conference, coming to you. That one is kind of interesting. And watch this one. Alcorn going to Itabena. That one will be kind of sneaky interesting.
Come on, don't say no. Don't say it, Charles. No.
Sneaky one to watch.
No, you didn't bring Valley back up, did you?
Especially when you're here, I want to make sure I shout out Valley.
Come on, Valley back in the conversation. Oh.
Mike actually seems mad.
I said a sneaky one.
With that being said, let's go to some of these Saturday matchups and switch it to the MEAC. We'll have a lot of talk. Our independents, they're really struggling this year. Hampton may be able to push over the hump, and so we'll see what we see there. A&T is not the self as they've been at the top of the conference as they transition, but falling back this year. But and then Tennessee State obviously is rebuilding, the opposite of what the men's program is doing. But to the MEAC, Saturday, you have South Carolina State at Howard. That is 6-1 now. Obviously, we'll have another game for South Carolina State, so we'll see if they're at 500 or if they're 2-4. You have North Carolina Central. They got the win over the surprise Maryland Eastern Shore. They're just 1-4. You have Norfolk State coming in 5-2. That's probably going to come in mad, and they're at home. But with that being said, you do have to play the game. You have Maryland Eastern Shore that will have another game in the belt, so they will maybe get some of that madness off after that tough loss. They play Morgan State, so it is a Maryland rivalry in that scheme of things. Morgan State does just come in at 2-5, though. You have Delaware State on the road at Coppin State, 1-5, 3-4. So not a lot here, I guess. Maybe you're looking at to see if teams are going to stay in the top of the race with Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore. Maybe you can squeeze out Norfolk State and try to make it about something. But anything there, or are you just going chalk, Charles?
Chalk.
Chalk
on that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's hard to get you to squeeze something out of that. I'm gonna go to Mike. Anything but chalk for you in there?
Ain't nothing but the chalkboard for this one. So
I can get it. I will check CAA since we're there in it in terms of what they doing with their schedule on Friday. Hampton is at Drexel, and A&T is hosting Elon. A&T is coming in 3-6. A&T is also, Hampton, the Pirates, sitting at 3-6. So they got a lot of work to do in that area. But let's go back. Last one, going into the Saturday matchups. Those are a doubleheader after they come off the Thursday showcases. I like to talk about it. On Saturday, you have these matchups. Alabama State Grambling. See if they get any better. You have the Alabama at Southern. I'm sure that's a kicker. Charles already teased that out, so we'll see if he stays there. You have Alcorn State at Pine Bluff, Prairie at Bethune-Cookman, Jackson State at Valley, Texas Southern at FAMU may get you a little bit in terms of what your thoughts. Charles, I'm going to stick with you since you went chalk. See if we can get you off that chalkboard.
Absolutely. I think you got a couple of matchups. Obviously, Alabama A&M Southern is the marquee one. But again, Alcorn, be careful with Arkansas Pine Bluff. That's a good team. On the road, they go to Pine Bluff, so I think that'll be a good one. And Florida A&M has a huge opportunity to go 2-0 this weekend at home. Texas Southern's managing some injury issues, so that'll be another one to kind of pay attention to is Texas Southern, Florida A&M.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, I cannot disagree that the marquee matchup is, Alabama A&M and Southern, but that Texas Southern is intriguing. Here's why: the number one scoring team in the SWAC is Texas Southern. So, and the worst team, third from the bottom right now this week, worst team in defense is Florida A&M or FAMU. So I'm interested to see how Chris me as well. And no, Charles, I'm not gonna say Jackson State and Mississippi Valley. Okay, I know.
No, I didn't say it either.
And then the other one, I'm sorry, I have my notes to the side here, is that Alcorn as well, not because they're playing UAPB, but because Alcorn will have to stay afloat. And I think they're on a 6-game winning streak. They are also at the tops of the SWAC in scoring. I forget where they were, but can they extend it? They got Pine Bluff and FAMU. Can they have a good chance to go, 8 straight games in the SWAC, stay, in pace with that number one spot. So, but they're playing a team that if they're not watching out, and to CB's credit, can come back and bite you. So that one will be that's a head scratcher. That's a nail biter, not a nail biter, but a nail, maybe, sub bite, whatever you want to call it. So that one's interesting.
Well, I got to ask you this. Prairie View has finished women's. Tough one to ask. First year coach, 0-9 after the first half. Y'all didn't seem too confident going to Florida. So let me give you the rest of the schedule and see if you can find me a win. You have Prairie View, FAMU, Prairie View, Bethune-Cookman. You said no there.
Where's Valley?
Grambling at
Where's
Prairie
Valley?
View. Grambling at Prairie View. You have no Valley to hold you up. Valley got them at home, so I don't know if it'd have been better on the road. But you got Grambling at Prairie View. You got Southern coming to Prairie View. You have Prairie View at Valley. Prairie View at Pine Bluff. Jackson at Prairie View. And you got Alcorn at Prairie View. And obviously they close up with a Thursday night game at Texas Southern in Houston. Do you see a win? And if it is, who are you saying that they have the biggest chance against? Starting with you, Charles. And stop squinting your eyes. That means you're looking too hard for it.
Looking hard, ain't he? Like, it is not rocket science. It is not a quadratic equation. It is simple.
He just made it in one because he's saying he don't see it.
I'm fighting for one.
0-18. Come on, guys.
It has to be at home. It has to be a game at home.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Yeah, those road home games are not easy though.
No.
Jackson and Alcorn home. Alcorn no. Maybe Jackson.
Maybe Jackson State. Yeah.
Grambling, maybe. If we're talking about home,
Grambling's a possibility.
Grambling and Jackson.
Yeah, those are my two best ones. Yeah.
Southern. Mike, what about you?
Simple. If they have any chance, I don't care if it's on the road, it'll be Valley versus Grambling at home versus Jackson at home. It'll be Valley and little bitty, itty bitty Mississippi. So
they go get you every time you do that. Every time you do that, it don't work out well.
Every time.
Only time it worked out is when you backed off a little bit. Prairie did stuff. Every time
I said if there's a chance.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get the win. What you're doing is not helping with the win. And you got Charles over there squinting at the TV screen, which is making me just that much
better than Charles squinting.
I hear you. Let's go to mid-major. The one out of the SIAC that I think you could maybe think about is a Tuskegee in Columbia, South Carolina at Allen in terms of that matchup. When you look at it in the standings, you have Allen sitting in the third spot currently in the East, sitting at 12-6 overall and 11-5. Tuskegee was up there for a minute, but they're, have just 6-4 in their last 10. They're at 11-7 and 11-6. Certainly important for both teams, but that's probably your mid-major matchup to watch this week at out of the SIAC. The rest of the teams that are at the top of the conference, Miles and Lane, and Clark Atlanta and Edward Waters, play some of the teams that are at the bottom of the conference. So not sure if I see anything there that would stand out. Any thoughts on that Tuskegee Allen matchup in regards to probably being the best game to keep your eyes on this week in terms of the SIAC?
Yeah, that probably would be my better game there in the SIAC.
What's intriguing for me is for the CIAA, their next matchup when you're talking about Fayetteville State that came off the big win, their next scheduled game is not until the 7th. Obviously, that's Saturday, which is at Winston-Salem State. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like. There's a little bit of payback in mind.
Oh, yeah.
And being at home, I think that's one to keep your eyes on, even nothing else from that. Both of those teams are at the top of the conference in terms of the division standing, with Fayetteville State 15-2 overall, 9-1, 4-0. Yeah, Winston-Salem State sitting at 17-2, 8-1 in terms of their conference, 3-1 in the division. Obviously, I have it as a 2 versus 4 matchup. Any thoughts on that game, mid-major wise, selling that to both of you all? Starting with you, Mike. You got your eyes on what that may look like for you.
No, sorry. I got sidetracked. I was looking at schedules. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but
It's your time.
Yeah, I mean,
you are a big brother, so we certainly not gonna argue.
I mean, how many times does Virginia State got to play Bluefield State? They play them a million times. What's up with? Maybe you can explain something in this schedule to me. Oh, I mean, they play them a million. They've already played them 2 or 3 times, so
they got them a 4. Hopefully, those some makeup, so that's some scheduling mistakes. But you're right; they have them in there 4 times. I think those are just some games because they're both on the same date, so I think they're just double featured.
I think that has got to be an error. But going back to your point, I think you were talking. What was it? Fayetteville State, and was it Virginia? Right?
No, Winston-Salem State. They're on the road at Winston-Salem State.
Winston-Salem.
I know you don't like to talk about Winston-Salem State, but
I don't like to talk because
the Rams are at home, so you got to. I'm telling you, watch out now.
Mr. Gaither. Mr. Gaither. Mr. Smith. Red Green. All right. So no, I think that in all seriousness, is probably the most intriguing. And here's why I say Winston-Salem comes in, and you got number 2 and number 3 scoring teams on the women's side in the CIAA. One is scoring like 68.2, Fayetteville scoring 66.4. Both teams, Winston-Salem, Fayetteville, they're allowing 54.1, 54.8. So the matchup statistically, 2 balanced teams, they're outscoring their opponents on average statistically. So to me, that's one of the best matchups. One that may have some implications later on in the season. So I look at that as a very intriguing reason for a number. The other one is field goal percentage. Both also are. I think Fayetteville's not at like 40% field goal percentage. Winston-Salem's at 38 field goal percentage. But Fayetteville is allowing their opponents a very low field goal percentage, meaning their defense is on point against field goal percentage. Folks shooting from 10 feet to 15 feet to 20 feet out. So statistically, that is a very strong matchup.
Charles, what are your thoughts on that? Fayetteville and Winston-Salem State.
I mean, I think
can Winston-Salem State get a little get back?
Oh, absolutely, especially at home cooking. Especially when you're at the crib and Winston-Salem has an opportunity to get that get back. I look for them to get the W over Fayetteville State. But to Mike's point, I think you touched on a lot of things statistically. I mean, 2 and 3 offensively, 2 and 3 defensively, and you just kind of take a look at both teams overall playing some tremendous basketball. Yeah, you tend to favor the home team just when they get that crowd cooking in that gym, and you can knock down a 3 or 2, and everybody pumped behind that. And I like Winston-Salem at home.
Yeah, last one I'll leave you one just to give some love to the HBCU. Paul Quinn sitting at the top of the West Division, sitting at 13-5. They are 8-1 in the conference race. They do have Philander Smith coming up that sits at 10-8, 5-4. So that's the one that you want to keep your eyes on over there. With that, we're going to close it up for our Tuesday show, so we can come back on Thursday, give you some updates, give you some scores as we're going through it, as we will be back in our studio since Texas Southern is on the road. We'll see if we can bring it back to you the following Thursday to get you back into action as we go on to the campus. With that being said, thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports. coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, as we will be back on Thursday. We look forward to Thursday to give you the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. It's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Threads, Facebook, Instagram, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. 1 on Facebook, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. If you would, on YouTube. As we say, dream big, continue to move forward. Shout out to Morehouse, obviously having to deal with some challenges in terms of what took place, but they are back in the basketball side of things, and they have played some really good basketball. So I wanted to shout them out. Because of everything, it overshadowed the fact that you had the number 1 team, Morehouse, versus Tuskegee, the number 1 team. That was East versus West, and Morehouse got the big win. So they're 9-1 in their last 10 games. We will focus more of that on Thursday, but sitting at 13-7 overall, 13-3 in the conference race, and they have a big matchup as they are hosting Kentucky State tonight now, actually, as shout out to Roy as he's getting it done. And then on Thursday, they host Lemoyne-Owen. That's 5 straight games they have in Atlanta, where they take on Lane on Saturday. And then the rival with Clark Atlanta on Valentine's Day, oddly enough. So it'll be interesting to see, can Morehouse continue on this hot streak, particularly with what some people would say distractions. Obviously bigger than that when it's serious than that. But in terms of what they do on the football field, on the basketball court, I should say. With that being said, we will talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
Mike?
Lecture.
Roy, you want to get in here?
Come on, Roy.
He's tied up.
Dismissed.
I'm dead.
We got it. Shout out.